Back, we continue live right here on the Border Hotline of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Bob Pompeani and Paul Zeiss with you at 412-575-2600. You can tweet us at KDPomp, at Paul Zeiss. So we're down to the Final Four in the NFL. Pretty good matchups, too. I looked at the forecast for Kansas City coming up, Paul, and we see it's going to be about 10 degrees with a wind chill, who knows what. New England at Kansas City. I like Kansas City in that game, even though New England has, at home they're unbeatable. But on the road, they've been very much beatable. And then the Rams and the Saints. Your take on both?
The Saints have been really, really good at home. Let's start there. I mean, they're a different team. I kind of feel like it's going to be a tough spot to ask Jared Goff to go in there at, in New Orleans with that crowd. Drew Brees at home. I think the Saints will get it done. The other game, Bob, I don't have a good feel for. If you told me any scenario, I would say, yeah, I could see that. New England blowout, Kansas City blowout, close game either way.
Yeah.
I could see no matter what scenario you came up with, I could see it.
The one big difference for Andy Reid, he has a quarterback who's truly a legitimate quarterback, and he looks like he's going to be around for a lot of years. Patrick Mahomes has been terrific.
And he's exciting. He's fun to watch.
And he's so in control, Paul. He just, nothing flusters that kid. And that's what it takes to win in the playoffs. Let's go to line 3 to kick us off tonight. Dave in Bell Vernon. Hey, Dave, what's up?
Well, Bob and Paul, I enjoy the show when you guys are on.
Thanks.
I wanted to ask you, here's my take. I think if the weather's cold like that in Kansas City, and I understand it might be even lower than what you said, here's how I feel about that. That's going to cut into the crowd noise because they'll be wrapped up, and they'll cut down some. I like that old quarterback. And I think that they'll handle that weather quite well. Earlier I thought it was definitely KC, but I have a feeling with cold weather that's a Brady thing. And on the other one, I like Breeze as well. That's my take. That's just how
That's
I feel.
how important home field is. And it's disappointing for the Steelers last year too, Dave, that they had that, a number 2 seed, a bye week, and then they came out and were terrible against Jacksonville. So, Paul, normally when you're in that position, those teams that get that first-round bye are winning games, I think it was like 86% of the time.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you try to get, and they didn't get this year. They didn't get anything this year, but last year, very disappointing.
And I said before the playoffs, if there was any team that absolutely needed a bye, it was the Patriots. You could see. They were running on fumes by the end of the season.
Yep.
They were banged up. They were injured. They're old. Having that week off to get healthy. Brady got his knee healthy. They're a little different team, I think, than the one that came here that, like I said, was running on fumes.
We'll see. I still think their defense is a problem at times, but they look good at home. They always do. On the road, they've given up a lot of points on the road this year to teams like Detroit, Miami, and others. So I think they can be beaten. That's why I like Kansas City. We'll see. Going to be interesting to watch this weekend. Barry in Cheswick is on the Nightly Sports Call. Hey, Barry.
Hi, Bob and Paul. How are you?
What's
I
up,
love
man?
The show.
Thank you.
Hello?
This is a dream world scenario. My situational dream thing of what should happen with the Antonio Brown situation. And I wanted to know your take as far as, I know a lot of people are saying if the Steelers have to lose him, they're worrying about draft picks. My take is I think you try to trade him to a team where you can get a positional player, and my take is I call the Arizona Cardinals immediately, and I see about them dealing away Patrick Peterson, who wanted out of there last year. I want a veteran shutdown guy, a secondary.
Yeah, they have one there, and they have one in Miami, and Xavier Howard. He's younger, and I think better because he's younger, but that scenario's been out there, and I think that's an interesting one. Thanks for the call. Paul, I think the Steelers are going to be in a good position. I don't think people have come to realize how much of an advantage having Antonio Brown on their team. If you think you're close to winning, you have a young quarterback, and you need somebody like this, teams are willing to give you more than maybe they should given the baggage attached. So I think there's going to be somewhat of a bidding war, and I think it'll play to the Steelers' advantage.
Well, and I think the thing about it is the Patrick Peterson thing, the Cardinals and him have already said he doesn't want to leave there.
But he did last year.
Right, but they pulled him into the office.
Right.
They talked, and he issued a statement, said he's committed to helping that team rebuild. And Arizona said, we're not trading this guy. So
But at that point, Antonio Brown wasn't available.
I get like one of those calls every night. Patrick Peterson. I say the same thing.
But he wasn't available at the time. Antonio Brown, I'm talking of.
Right.
Maybe with a young quarterback like Rosen and a quarterback coach, kind of head coach in Kingsbury, that they will be willing to bring in a weapon. Somebody who can do that. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see as it plays out. And it's going to play out for the next several months. Waylon in Washington joins us right now on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Waylon, go ahead.
Hi, Bob. Hi, Paul. Hey, no big deal, but it's a transitional time for the Steelers, obviously, with people coming in and people going out. Now, I remember earlier this year, Bob, you said anything's possible in the NFL, and I believe that. And I'm wondering, it might be instead of just like a transition, like a year or two, maybe it's going to happen soon. Any thoughts?
Was he asking about the Steelers?
Yeah. The transition of what?
I don't know. We don't have him on the line now.
Yeah, I don't know what he was exactly what he was asking. I don't know.
I think if you're asking if the Steelers can be still a team to beat next year, get far, yeah, every one of these teams can. When you have a quarterback in place, an offensive line, decent running backs, and I think they'll figure out a way to add to their wide receiving core, even if they do trade Antonio Brown, because I don't see a reconciliation. That's one thing that people say. Art Rooney may have left it out there as an open opportunity, but I cannot see that happening.
The problem is, how do you trust him?
That's what I mean.
You can't trust Antonio Brown, because even if you have a powwow and everyone gets together and we love each other and everything's great, what happens in week 2 when you're losing a game and you're trying to throw the ball to Juju Smith-Schuster and he's not getting, you know what I mean? Then what happens?
Right.
And you can't trust him. He's got to go.
All right. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. Let's go out to Dave in Westview. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Bob.
What's up?
This goes back to Neon Dion and Joe Namath. I mean, all this glitter and, with the way it's all going down with these young guys.
Diva.
But, they got to be in the spotlight. You know what I mean?
What people forget. That's not exclusive to this generation of players.
That's right. It goes all
the way back. It really does.
Hey,
there are some guys.
One other thing I want to comment, Bob. I like the sport coat. Looks like Bob Prince. And I think your hair is better than John Shumway's.
Thank you for the call. I think.
He didn't say anything about my hair.
You always look good, Paul. Yeah. And the glasses are definitely good on you. I like them.
Well.
Anyway, what were we talking about there?
The diva, the fact that there's, what makes it worse
now. They're on every team, by the way.
Right, but what makes it worse now is social media.
Absolutely.
Because it's in our face every single day, all the time. And the other thing, Bob, is everybody has to be more and more outrageous, to outdo what they see on social media.
And this holds true not just of players, but it holds true of people who want their little take in this. Because how many people have volunteered things sitting behind some avatar that doesn't even match up to who they are? You don't know who they are.
Right.
So they feel powerful doing that kind of. And I think players like to do it. They want to control their own story, and the only way to do that is through social media, which is why now it's almost impossible to get an interview with anyone because they're going to do it first on Instagram or on Twitter or on anything else.
Well, here's the other thing. The newest thing, Bob, is these locker room celebrations. Like
college basketball.
College basketball. Now we've got last night Pitt dumping water on their coach. So someone's going to need a Gatorade bucket soon, and this and that. You have to become more and more outrageous to outdo whatever you see on social media. That's
it's all about hits. Let me ask you this, and it was a topic, and I'm glad the Pitt didn't store. I don't care one way or the other if fans, student body, Oakland Zoo comes onto the court to celebrate a win, but I don't think it's not a topic to me. If you do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. People say, well, Pitt's be above that. They don't need. Who cares? If kids want to do it, when they do it, I don't have a problem with it. Do you have a problem with it?
I don't like it from this standpoint. If it's a really special win, something
when you're 0-18, beating 11th ranked team is special.
Okay, but I'm just saying, even but again, I'm like, if you're a team like you beat Louisville, you're 0-18, but not just that, you beat Louisville, who you hadn't beaten in 10 years or whatever it was. Okay, that's fine. But what happens is, every single week now we see teams that are it's ridiculous, and a lot of it is just, again, the same thing. People need to, like, they want to be seen. They want to, go on Twitter and see if they can see themselves.
They're
in the
going to roll
crowd,
live videos. It'll be Facebook Live. I mean, here I am in the middle of this.
It's not about celebrating a win and this and that and everything. It's just about being a knucklehead on the court.
People love it. It's unbelievable. People, speaking of that, I watched a video the other night of a guy who apparently killed himself accidentally by taking a picture of himself near the Grand Canyon. Fell to his death because he was trying to take a selfie at a particular angle, which I'm thinking, does it come to that really? Yeah. I mean, you have to get that shot no matter what.
That's just, that's just silly.
Well, you've seen some people do some strange
absolutely.
things.
I mean,
it's dangerous business sometimes.
You look on Facebook, especially still. I mean, in Instagram where they take pictures and some of the stuff.
How about the storm chasers? And now people are taking their cell phones into hurricanes.
Right.
They're told, get out of the way. No, I want to get that picture.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. Anyway, we got to take a break. We'll take it and come back with more of your calls right here live on Pittsburgh CW.